All righty, good evening, everybody. Happy Labor Day. Yeah, it's actually Labor Day. I was gonna say Labor Day weekend, but it's actually Labor Day today. Welcome to the 2024 NFL preview with me and Ian. Ian, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great, Chris. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I'm doing good. You excited for the NFL season? I can't believe it's already here.
Man, let's get it on, man. I've been waiting. My baseball team out here in Seattle has been struggling since the middle of June, so it's ready football season. I got together with all my tailgate guys today, planning a big rager for Sunday for opening day for the Hawks against the Broncos. I'm gonna go smash a little Bo Nix. Nothing better than beating up on a duck.
There you go. There you go. I wish I could go to the Eagles technically home opener down in Brazil on Friday. But I mean, I don't know why that's a home game, but yeah, who knows? Whatever. It is what it is. We got some people checking in. We got Craig from Old Bay Crabs. What's going on, Craig? We got Fuzzy checking in. What's up, Fuzzy? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Um, all right, so we're gonna get into our NFL predictions and all that kind of good stuff for the upcoming season. We did have our CGTV fantasy draft. Ian was asking me about it earlier. I'm pretty happy with my team. I had the first pick though, so I do hate the first pick. I also hate the 12th pick. I hate any pick between 1 and 3 and 10 and 12, but that's just me. So, what do you think about your team, Ian? You happy?
I'm not too bad with my team. A lot of it's going to come on on the back of a couple of players. But I love that you took CMC first because I'm pretty sure he's going to be hurt most of the year, and that'll help out everybody else out in the NFC when CMC goes down because that's just your luck, right?
Yeah, it would be my luck. I mean, listen, I again, I hate the first pick. I was offering trades for the first pick, and people were like, "You're joking. You don't want the first pick." I was like, "Hell no, I don't want the first pick." Um, just because, listen, I love me some CMC. Think he's a great running back.
Yeah.
Um, Overall good dude. Just not that I didn't want him on my team because I know I can pick anybody with the first pick, but I feel like if you don't go CMC with the first pick, something's wrong with you. And if he's healthy, I mean, he might win me the league again. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's get into our predictions, shall we? I think we got some good ones coming up. We'll see if you guys agree with us. I don't know. I have some left field predictions for this year, believe it or not. And no, they don't involve the Eagles winning at all. I can tell you that right off the bat. I'm looking forward to the Eagles season, but they lost some valuable pieces, so I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we're gonna go. Division by division. We'll break down what we think all the teams are going to do. We'll give you our playoff predictions, and we will also give you our Super Bowl predictions. So, without further ado, the AFC East. Ian, how exciting is the AFC East?
Well, a lot of it's going to depend on what Aaron Rodgers can do, right? The Jets have a solid defense. Is Garrett Wilson going to be the heir apparent? Is he supposed to be the guy who everyone says he is? It should be interesting. Let's write the Patriots off. There's nothing there. I mean, that team is just
Yeah,
that's a bottom feeder right there, willing to happen. But I'm really looking forward. We got Miami in week 3 out here in Seattle. And I want to see what Tua can do. He got paid a lot of money, and I don't think he's a very good quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But he has so many weapons, right? So
yeah.
it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. But I think the surprise is going to be is if Aaron Rodgers can calm down the team and quit getting into this drama that we're hearing about all the time in the NFL right now about them. I think they're going to give Buffalo a shot. Buffalo's, I was looking through their players and I was like, hey, where is that? Where's that number one alpha? Really don't see
Yep.
that except for Josh Allen. You got a guy that, but if he gets hurt or if something happens, I don't know, man. This is going to be a fun little little division for sure. I think.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to the Jets. We'll see. I was excited last year for Aaron Rodgers, and then on the fourth play of the season, he gets injured and ruined my fantasy hopes. I was streaming Baker Mayfield as my quarterback for the longest time because I had Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, I mean the Bills are usually good. I mean, no Stephon Diggs this year. We'll see what happens. Um, key piece of their offense, to be honest. So let's talk about those Bills. Um, the over under from Vegas right now is 10.5 wins. I personally have them under the 10.5 number. I have them right at it basically. I have them going 10-7 this year. I do have them winning the division at 10-7, but I think they're gonna do well this year. But I think you know I, that division to me is so tough for the sole purpose that you have the Jets and you have the Dolphins. I feel like a lot of those division games are a split. You kind of chalk them up to a split from the start. You win at home, you lose away, that kind of stuff. So I guess we'll find out. But what do you think? You think they're hitting that over the 10.5 number, or you think they're going under?
No, I think they're going to go under as well. Maybe right at 10, but I'm banking at about 9. Sit here and you look at some of these teams they got to play. They got to play Kansas City. They got to play at Indianapolis. You're going to play with Miami. You're going to play with San Francisco. Detroit's no slack either. And so, I mean, there's some
Yep.
tough games. Now, to end it, you got New England the last 2 out of the last 3 games. Boy, talk about a, get healthy couple of weeks. That'll be huge for them. But yeah, I see them around about 9 wins. Taking a look at it. You got Baltimore in there, Houston in there,
Yeah.
Jets twice. That's a tough schedule. I was looking at that one when I was trying to figure out, where are they going to get 10, 11 wins from, because they've just been that staple. But there's a lot of tough games there for sure. So I'm saying 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I like the 9-8 number. I was kind of torn when I was going through it. I think they're going to start out hot. Cardinals, Miami. Like I said, I assume they're going to split with Miami. They'll win one, they'll lose one. So if they lose the second game, whatever. If they win the second game, great. Jacksonville, not worried about them. Baltimore's going to be a tough game for them. The Texans will be a tough game. Again, Jets. I think they're splitting. Tennessee, they're going to go from a dub. I think they're going to beat Seattle personally. And then I think Indianapolis, they're going to beat Indianapolis, but then they got a really, really tough slide with Kansas City, San Francisco, the Rams, and Detroit. I think they go 0-4 in that slide right there.
Oof.
So, I think that's going to be really, really tough for them. They may steal a game out of that. Um, but they do have a bye week in the middle of that. But I think getting Kansas City going into the bye and then coming right back into San Francisco, I think that's going to be a real tough, tough schedule for them. So, um, I wouldn't be shocked if they go 9-8. Hell, I wouldn't be shocked if they go 8-9. To be honest with you, it really comes down to how they look. I do think they're going to play well this year, though, and I think the AFC East, in terms of the AFC, is pretty loaded, in my opinion. Right? We already went over the Bills, the Jets, the Dolphins. Ian said right off the pats, we are going to do that right from the start. But let's talk about those Jets. I have the Jets at 9-8. I have them almost beating the Bills for the division. Um, I think they're going to have a good season this year. I really do. Their defense is solid. Hopefully, Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. They're set up for some success there. I have them going 9-8. I have them under the win total as well, though. The win total from Vegas is 9.5. Again, wouldn't be shocked if they go 10-7. But I think 9-8 is going to be a sweet spot for that team. Again, you got the same tough games that the Bills have, the Jets have as well, and then they have the same pretty much easy toss-up games that are should be good wins for them. So, what do you think on the Jets, Ian?
I got the Jets coming in at 10 wins. I mean, I'm sitting here and I was just really looking through and trying to go game by game. You're saying Tennessee's winnable, Denver's winnable, Minnesota's winnable, Pittsburgh's winnable. I'm not saying Pittsburgh's, going to be a slack, but New England's winnable. Arizona, nobody knows what we're going to get out of Arizona. I mean, us is just being out here in the NFC West. We have no clue, but then you look at the last part of that schedule, man, the month of December and beginning of January. Boy, that's a gauntlet right there. I think the only one that you're really going to take a breather on is going to be Jacksonville, and they're no slack either. That's a solid team as well. So, the last 7 or 8 games is going to be tough for them. But I think Aaron Rodgers could be a difference maker. I really believe he's still got it in him. I think that he can still sling it. And you got Brees Hall, who everyone says is the second best running back, in the NFL. But he's going to be a workhorse for him. And can Garrett Wilson turn loose like Chase and Hill and Jefferson. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting to see if
Yeah.
what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it, especially with a capable quarterback, right? He did well with some pretty subpar quarterbacks last year, so I think with a capable quarterback, I'm excited to see what happens. Craig's asking how's the Jets offensive line? Their offensive line, I wouldn't say they're great. They're not bad either. I would say they're above average offensive line, and overall, I think their offense is pretty good. I think their defense is really, really good. I'm going to make a couple of comments throughout this show that I think defense wins championships, doesn't win games, especially in the NFL with how high scoring and how high powered a lot of these offenses are. But the Jets' offense can score right with them. So I think the Jets are set up for something good this year. Personally,
I think if you go back and you look at the defense side of that, their defense is something that's no joke. I mean, you got Sauce Gardner on one side, just shuts everybody down. I mean, everybody even says that he's the guy. Sorry, guys, my son's coming in trying to grab stuff here. Here you go. And so when you look at it and you come back and you say, what are the real chances of them being able to be successful? I think a lot of that's going to get back to what Aaron Rodgers could do. Because if he, like you said, he's played 4 plays in 2 years. He's got his mind going in 101 different ways. There's a lot of talk behind the scenes that he's being a prima donna again, which you know how that'll work, especially in New York. They won't put up for that. And if they do happen to lose to San Francisco or Buffalo and start out at 3-3 or something like that, boy, I'll tell you what, the New York media is going to love themselves some Aaron Rodgers for sure.
yeah, they will. That's for sure. All right. Another exciting team in the AFC East. I feel like the AFC East is pretty exciting. I feel like a lot of these other divisions, they're not as exciting to me personally, but that's just me. Dolphins win total over under 9.5. I have them under the win total as well. I have them at 9-8. Again, so I have 3 teams in the AFC East all above 500. Again, I feel like the kind of logic behind this is very similar to the Jets. Obviously, the Dolphins' offense is very high powered. Tua turn the ball over is, I think, their rate limiting factor. I'll be honest with you. Their defense is meh at best. So they're going to have to outscore teams personally. But again, like I just said, I think defense wins you championships, doesn't win you games. So if you can outscore your opponent, obviously you're going to win. But here we go. Wayne, you just brought it up. You just brought up what I was going to say. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Here is what this is what I was going to say. Miami's going to come out to a super hot start because they play Jacksonville, Buffalo. Again, I said the Buffalo game's a toss-up. They're going to win one, probably lose one. Seattle, I'm sorry, Ian, not high on Seattle this year. Tennessee, New England, Indianapolis, Arizona. Basically, their first half of the schedule is, I mean, I don't think you could ask for an easier first half of the schedule, in my opinion. You really have one tough game in there, maybe 2, until you get to, Indianapolis, who could be decent this year. Who knows? But they have their gauntlet coming down the end of the season. So I think Miami's going to come out real hot like they always do. Everyone's going to be Miami this, Miami that. And then, coming around week 10, they're going to come crashing back down to earth.
Yeah, I'm not high on Miami at all. I think that Miami's got some awesome weapons. I mean, can you imagine Waddle and Hill? You got A-Chain and Mozart in the backfield. I mean, they're talented there. Defensively, I don't know. I don't agree with you too much there. I think they're beatable. I think that they're going to get beat on some teams that you didn't think they were going to lose to, and they lose to them, and they're going to beat teams that you never know, because it's going to be on any given Sunday with these clowns. I've never been high on Tua, and I just don't see him as an elite quarterback. His arm strength is, I'd rather have Baker Mayfield's arm. And so when I look at these teams and I turn around and say, okay, what's coming out of the AFC? I don't think these guys make the playoffs even. I don't even think they're going to be in a playoff hunt. I think that you're going to have the Jets and the Bills fighting out for who's going to win the division. But when you go back and you look at some of these teams they got to play, especially, in December, I mean, you got to play in Cleveland, you got to play in New York, you got to play in Green Bay. Good luck. Good luck.
Yep. Gonna be tough. Gonna be tough. All right. So Miami, we're not too high on, but we'll talk about them in a second. The Patriots this season to me is just they're the scrubs. Their win total, Vegas even knows, over under 4.5. They'll be lucky to get, I don't know, 5 wins max, maybe. I was looking at their schedule. I see potentially 4 or 5 wins at best. Um, and that's a stretch for me to even get there. So I think, I wouldn't be shocked if they're the worst team in the league. I think they are the worst team in the league this year. They're just an abomination. I'm not even going to spend time talking about them. Terrible, terrible team. Um, I'd bet the under on their win total. I hate 4.5 games. That's, to me, it's like it's hard to bet that, but I don't see anywhere in there where they're really going to be in a lot of these games.
Oh, I take this as the lock and load of the whole thing, Chris. I don't think these guys are going to win 4 games. No way. I mean, you sit here and you look at the teams that they got to play. I'm just like, wow. They might start 0-6. They start 0-6. Can you imagine what's going to happen? They might just totally mail it in. And so when you look at the
Yeah.
teams they're playing, you got the Jets, you got Cincinnati. Of course, me and you don't agree on Seattle. But you got San Francisco, Miami, Houston. That first 6 games, they might not win a game. If they do, maybe one. And so when you sit back and you look at this, I mean, quarterback situation. I don't know why they just didn't go with Drake May. Hey, I'm not a GM. I sure would have liked to see what the kid can do, but I get it. You got to try to win something. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get out of the first 6 weeks. But then again, you come back to the back end. You're talking Buffalo, Rams, and Buffalo to end the season. Whew,
Yeah,
rough.
they're in trouble. Like,
Yep.
I mean, again, I can't even really find 5 wins on here if I'm honest with you. Like, I
Right.
mean, maybe Tennessee, because I think Tennessee's a pretty bad team, but they might be decent. Who knows? The Bears possibly, but like even that's a stretch in my mind. Um, there's a lot of games on here that like I mean, I don't think you're going to see me betting the New England Patriots ever this year. I don't even know if I trust them on the spread. They could be getting 14 points, and I don't know if I trust them. So, I guess we'll find out. But ranking the AFC East for me, it's the Bills at 10-7, the Jets beating out the Dolphins for the second spot on tiebreaker at 9-8, the Dolphins also at 9-8, and then the Pats at the bottom of the barrel. I don't even know what that team is.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Pats. I just think there's more weapons on offense and a better defense for the Jets. Now, can they put it all together? That's going to be the question right there. But if they can, they're going to be a tough team to compete with in the AFC overall.
Yep, I think so. All right, let's go over to the AFC North. I think this is a 2-horse race, and we'll get into that. I don't know if Ian will agree with me. We'll find out. But I think the Ravens and the Bengals, they're going to be obviously the 2 teams in this division. The Steelers and the Browns have zero concern to me at all. The Ravens over under win totals at 10.5. I think they eclipse this win total. I have the Ravens going 12-5 this season. I think they're going to be really, really good. And I'm looking forward to that team playing. I think Derrick Henry is a great addition to an already loaded backfield. I know they got rid of some guys, but I mean, you imagine having Lamar or Derrick Henry running at you? Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you look at the Ravens, the only thing I'm worried about is obviously they lost their defensive coordinator. He came over to Seattle this year, so that might make some changes. But, talk about a coaching group that's been together. I think that they have the longest tenure in one team right now. So, but when you
Yep.
look at the schedule, I mean, there's some easy ones. You got Washington, Tampa could be easy. Who knows what's going to happen with Cleveland, Denver's, Pittsburgh. I mean, Denver. Who knows what's going to happen there? They don't know if they're going to start Russ or if they're going to start Fields. They don't have a clue. And then anytime you got to play the Giants, I'm not too worried about the Giants either. So I agree with you. I see them at 11 wins myself. I think there's some tough teams. You got Philly in there, you got Cincy in there, you got you got Buffalo, you got Dallas and Kansas City. Those are going to be some tough wins right there for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I personally my losses were coming from Kansas City, from believe it or not, the Eagles. I think
Right?
they might also lose to Dallas because they're playing at Dallas. Jerry's world is just different for a lot of teams. I think the Ravens are a much better team than the Cowboys, but I know a lot of teams do not do well when they play in Jerry world. So um, those are three, and then I think there's a couple other ones that might just slip through the cracks there, here and there. So I guess we'll find out. I have them 12-5. I think they're going to do well though. I have them basically winning the AFC. No, actually, I have them in second because you know who I have winning the AFC this year. But um, it's a thing every year, right? It's a thing every year. But I think the Ravens are going to do good. We'll shift over to the Bengals. Bengals win total is also at 10.5. I have them eclipsing that as well. I have them at 11-6 this year. I think they're going to be a really, really good team. Very, very high on the Bengals. I hope Burrow can stay healthy. He's been dealing with that. Hopefully, Jamar Chase can also stay healthy. But I think the Bengals are a team to watch out for this year.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I got them at 12-5. I think that they're definitely going to be a team to be reckoned with coming out of the AFC this year. You sit back and you look at it. A couple of years ago, before Burrow got hurt, everybody was saying they're right up there with Kansas City. I think they made some good change. Now there's some question marks here. The Chase situation's kind of got me worried. You got guys holding out. Here we are. Week one preparation, and he's not even suiting up on the sideline. So how far apart they are on money. I mean, just to see the kind of money that receivers are getting, $35 million, and they're talking about more coming up. So, here's a really good, sound team that I think is going to make some definite headway. And they've got a pretty easy schedule if you look at it compared to what Baltimore has. And so they've got some easy wins. I think Pittsburgh's going to be easy to win. I think, who knows with the Raiders. You never know what's going on with the Raiders, but the Giants are pretty easy. Carolina's going to be easy. Washington, even with Dan Quinn running the show over there in Washington. You got Denver in the back end. Tennessee, we already talked about Tennessee. So you look at this, and I just think this is going to be an opportunity for Joe Burrows to get back to where he wants to be. And I can't wait to see what he's going to wear in the playoffs, right?
Yep. Joe Shiesty.
Yeah,
Dude, he's got so much drip, it's insane.
no
All
kidding.
right, over to the Browns, and Deshaun Watson's massage parlor. Um, the Browns, I mean, their win total from Vegas over and under 8.5. I have them under. I have them at 7-10. I think they have a tough schedule. I think they start out pretty easy, but it gets really, really hard for them towards the end, right? Obviously, the Dallas game, I think they're going to lose that one. But then they got Jacksonville, New York, Vegas, Washington, then the Eagles. I think their schedule really, really starts at week 6. I'll be honest with you. I have them losing to Dallas, obviously, but then after that, pretty easy games. But then you got the Eagles, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and then the Chargers. Like that's a tough little stretch heading into your bye week. Coming out of the bye, I think they're going to be okay with the Saints, Pittsburgh, Denver, and Pittsburgh right back. But then you're ending the season with Kansas City, the Bengals again, um, Miami, and the Ravens. That's a really, really tough way to end the season. I have them at 7-10.
I agree with you on the win total. I think 7's probably about right. But what I think of here is I just look at this team and saying, who is the face of the franchise? Is it Deshaun Watson? Really? What has he done since he came back from his suspension? Not much. Everything was on his shoulder was hurt, blah, blah, blah. And then you lose Nick Chubb. Now, I was doing some research on him because I got a draft tomorrow night, and it show him doing all of his squats again on his knees after, he really messed up his knees, tore his meniscus, dislocated it, tore his ACL, and to have him come back that short amount of time, I don't know. You got Ford stepping up. Meantime, Chris, he probably won you our fantasy league last year, just how he came on, and it was a good pickup at the time. But the defense is still going to be strong, and I think that's where they're going to have to lean on. They're really going to have to hope that they can keep them into games. And again, people wonder why these quarterbacks are making so much money. This is why, because you've got a guy that's a $30 million guy, and he's got to produce now, or they're going to be looking for a new quarterback next year for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a quarterback change there mid-year. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I think Deshaun Watson's way past where he's been. And again, like you said, their defense is really their only hope, in my opinion. Again, Jerome Ford, yes, he played well, but you can't put your money on a second round guy like that. He's feasible in fantasy, but the amount they're concerned too. Yeah, Nick Chubb's a stud. The problem is he gets hit one time below the knee, and I think he's done for his career.
Well, that's the second.
Coming
That's the
off that
second one.
injury,
Yeah, he had
yep,
one in
and
college.
then the injury in college. I mean, that's two really, really bad injuries. So I guess we'll find out. But
Yeah.
I'm not too high on the Browns. I'm also really not high on the Pittsburgh Steelers at all. Their win totals over under 8.5. One of my favorite bets of the entire season with looking at these things is the under 8.5 wins here. I have them at 6-11, and it's a stretch for me to get to 6-11. I'll be honest with you, but they do play the Broncos. They do play Vegas. They do play the Giants. They do play Washington. Like they have some pretty bad games in there, in my opinion. So I think they could get it done. But I mean, listen, Justin Fields, you saw what he did. They have him like playing wide receiver now or something. Like I don't know what that guy's doing. Russell Wilson, all time, very, very good quarterback. Past few years, absolute trash. Dude should have retired. Because I think he's just ruining his own legacy at this point. I don't think he's going to do anything in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is going to be in a world of hurt this year. 6-11, lock it under 8.5 wins.
Oh, I agree with it. It's a lock under 8.5 wins for sure. Because you just look at the last half of their schedule. You got Baltimore, Cleveland. We don't know, right? But you got Baltimore, Cincinnati, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati. Ouch. Good
Yep.
luck getting maybe one win out of that last 6-7 weeks of the season, and then all hell's going to break loose here in Pittsburgh. Just because, and you're right. I was a huge Russ fan. I got a signed football from him from when we won the Super Bowl, but he's done. I mean, the guy can't do anything anymore now. Apparently, he slimmed back down again, and but he's pretty brittle lately too in the last couple of years. He seems to
Yeah.
be getting hurt more and more. He's not as fast and as elusive as he used to be. You go back to and you look at the weapons that they have. What's on the outside? You got Pickens on the outside. You got Fairmouth going underneath as a tight end. You got a decent couple of backs that equate to one good back. Because they're going to be splitting time, probably 60-40 or at least 55-45 on the number of counts that they're going to get. So, and the defense, come on. What is the defense? One guy.
Not
Kilowatt.
non-existent.
Kilowatt. You got one guy. He's going to have
Yeah.
probably 12, 13 sacks, and that's it. So I agree with you, but definitely this is the lock and load again. It's definitely the under for sure.
Yep, I agree 100%. I 100%. It's funny. Wayne put in here, Pitt is that fantasy manager that didn't draft a quarterback until the 14th round and went for a Hail Mary. That is a fact. The problem is Pittsburgh hasn't done anything to do anything for themselves either, right? They haven't added really anybody on defense. On offense, they haven't done anything. They still play their backup running back, who should be their backup. Najee Harris is not a starting running back. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Jalen Warren is a better running back than Najee Harris. And the fact that you have him behind Harris, I don't like it. But it doesn't really matter to me. You could put CMC back there, and I think they're still in trouble. So, it is what it is. All right. AFC North, my rankings, I have the Ravens at 12-5, Bengals at 11-6, Steelers at 6-11, and the Browns at 7-10. So obviously, started off by saying a two-horse race, and I think that's what this is. Wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals Ravens flip flop. Wouldn't be surprised, but I think this is the Bengals and the Ravens division. I think the Steelers and the Browns are just non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Bengals. I think the Bengals got something to prove this year. The Ravens, a lot of that we don't know what's going to come with Lamar Jackson as well. But the other two teams, I mean, those are afterthoughts between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So,
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the Bengals to get back into the playoffs and do something in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. All right. We got the AFC South. This division doesn't really interest me. I think it's an interesting division to see who actually plays this year in terms of the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans. Are these teams as bad as we think they might be? Is Anthony Richardson as good as everybody says he is? Are the Jaguars doing anything? Are the Titans and Will Levis going to do anything? I don't know. I don't think they will. I'm going to go over the Texans first. Texans win total 9.5. I have them at 10-7. I'm just getting over that win total. I think they start out the season quite easy with the Colts, the Bears, the Vikings. I Jacksonville also, depending how they look, I don't know how they're going to look. Trevor Lawrence could be good. He could be bad. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys that I never know, and I'm always erring on the side of caution with him. I don't think he's going to be that good, to be honest with you. I don't think Jacksonville's that good overall, but I think the end of the season for the Texans is going to be tough. But I think they are going to do well. I think they're going to finish 10-7 this year.
The Texans, I think there's that team that, are they going to have a sophomore slump with CJ Stroud, right? I
Yep.
think if you look at the weapons that they have there, I mean, they're stacked, there's no doubt about it. When you look at what they've got, I think defensively, I'm not a big fan of them defensively. But again, when you look at the kind of teams that they're playing, they got Chicago, that's winnable. Minnesota's winnable. Jacksonville, like you said, I think, then I think we go through some tough spurts, but then you come back and you got Tennessee, Jacksonville again, and then Tennessee to round it out. So they do have an opportunity to grab some low hanging fruit and potentially that offense. And you saw what that kid could do last year. I mean, he was balling.
Yeah.
Over 4,000 yards passing, and I think a lot of that's going to get back to is what they do on defense. That's going to be the question for me.
Yep. And Wayne saying Stephon Diggs is a locker room killer. He is indeed.
Yeah, he is for sure, Wayne. For sure.
I'll be honest with you. This is kind of a hot take. Stephon Diggs is the third best receiver on that team.
There's a lot of talk about that being true. There's a lot of talk about that right now.
I think Nico Collins and Tank Dell are better than him. I'm not saying Stephon Diggs is bad. Their offense is loaded. Their defense is very questionable. Again, like I said, all you got to do is put up more points into the team. That's what was good for the Texans last year was they just scored on basically every possession they had the ball. So, it's hard for other teams to keep up with that. But, again, I think they're going to slump. I don't think they're going to slump that badly, but I don't think they're going to be a very, very good team this year. I think there was a lot of hype on them last year, and I'm looking at them to downtrend this year. Next team, the Colts. This is a huge question mark, in my opinion. Huge question mark with Anthony Richardson. Everybody's been so high on him. He got hurt last year. He's coming back off the injury. Is he going to be good? Is he going to be bad? Michael Pittman is your best receiver. A lot of question marks around him this year. Who knows what's going to happen there? I have the Colts at 8-9. I have them under their win total of 8.5. I think they got a really tough middle stretch of the tough start and then tough middle. Their ending is pretty easy, I think, with New England, the Broncos, the Titans, the Giants. I think those are very, very winnable games. But I think they do start off pretty tough with Texans and Green Bay. Then they have some better games for them with the Bears and Pittsburgh, and then they hit a middle stretch that's kind of tough with the Dolphins, Houston, Minnesota's whatever, and then you got Buffalo, Detroit. You got some tough games in there, so I don't think the Colts are going to be great this year. I don't think they're going to be terrible, but we haven't said they've been great in a long time. So
yeah, so I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the difference maker here. When Jonathan Taylor came back last year, they were a different team. Now that's Gardner Minshew throwing the ball. It's not Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson could be the next Lamar. He might rush for 600, 700, 800 yards. We don't know because we didn't get to see much out of him last year. So apparently he's throwing the ball better. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if that's truly what's happening. But I think Jonathan Taylor is going to make a big difference having him back, as long as if he stays healthy, right? That guy stays healthy. He's a top 3 running back in the league. Now I agree with you. Those last 6 games, talk about cakewalks, man. And to be able to play indoors, you're talking about out at Denver, and out at New York, but the other 3 games are going to be indoors. Indianapolis could be a sleeper pick here. I kid you not. They're realistically, we look in the middle of there. You got Jacksonville, Tennessee, Miami's beatable on it, especially being at home. I wouldn't be surprised if they got them at home. But Minnesota, there's some easy wins there. So I got him with 9 wins myself.
All right. So we're pretty close. Going over to the Titans, I think they're the worst team in this division by far. Their win total is at 6.5. I have them under their win total. I'm at 6-11. I think they have a lot of really, really tough games on their schedule for them. Um, Will Levis, he had his come to Jesus moment last year where he balled out in the one game, and then he hasn't done anything since. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a very good quarterback. Their offense is not that good. Their defense is even worse. I think their team this year is going to struggle. I think they're going to go for a draft pick personally.
Yeah, I got them at 4 wins. To be honest with you, Chris, I just see them really having hard times. And I like Levis. To be honest with you, he's a Kentucky kid. I'm a big Kentucky fan, and I just think that they're not setting him up for success. And so when it gets down to it, and you look at some of these teams that they're playing, it's like where's the break? Where can I get a breath?
Yeah.
You look at maybe Chicago, but who knows? Chicago might be the surprise team of they got probably the best receiving core, in their division. So what's going to happen there? I mean,
Yep.
their running backs, but we'll get to them when we talk about Chicago. But truly, when you sit back and you look at this, you got Buffalo, Detroit, the Chargers. I mean, we don't know what's going to be with the Chargers. They got a lot of different weapons as well with trading away Keenan Allen and get rid of Eckler and stuff like that. But I just think these guys are going to struggle to get 4 wins, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think they're a very good team again. I think they're gonna struggle hard. Jacksonville win totals 8.5. I have them just over the win total at 9-8. Again, you could flip flop them and the Colts, in my opinion. Really, I think both of those teams are kind of a toss up. But I have them at 9-8. For a little bit higher of a win total than the Colts, but not much. Again, I think they start off their season. The Dolphins are going to be a tough game for them, but then Cleveland. I don't think they're going to struggle too much against Cleveland. You got some tough games there in the middle, but then they do end with a relatively easy stretch, in my opinion, with Tennessee. The Jets are going to be a tough game for them, but then Vegas, Tennessee, and then the Colts. You got a lot of divisional games there, especially with the Titans towards the end. Um, you know, I think they're going to play well. I have them 9-8, just over 500, but wouldn't bet the farm on their over under at all. I think you could go very very quickly either way, but we'll see what Jacksonville does.
Yeah, I would steer clear of this because you just really don't know what's going to happen with their over under. To be honest with you, we don't know who's going to really show up. And you look at some of these teams that are going to play, and it's like, yeah, those are winnable games, and sometimes those are the ones they end up losing. Is Travis Etienne, is he going to be the guy? Can he be a workhorse that they want him to be? You got Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the guy was one of the top rated from college to high school to everywhere. He needs to step up too and start making some good throws. You got Christian Kirk. I like Christian Kirk. I think he's a solid receiver, but is he that number one guy? I don't know about that. So when you look at that, I think the biggest struggle is going to be is on their defensive side of the ball. They need to attack a little bit more on the defensive side. You're playing in a tough division. I mean, they're all tough divisions, right? It's parity in the NFL is an amazing thing. But when you sit back and you look at it, I agree with you. Starting out, it goes in spurts. It's got like 2 games here, then a break, 2 games here, then a break. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. Bye week for them, I think, is going to be huge, strictly because, if they're close to getting in, at least they're going to be able to rally a little bit towards the back half of the season going into December and trying to figure out how to potentially get into the playoffs.
Yep. We'll see if they're a playoff team or not. Ranking the AFC South, I have the Texans 10-7, the Jags at 9-8, the Colts at 8-9, and the Titans at 6-11.
Yeah, I went with the Colts, then the Texans, then the Jags, then the Titans. That's how I have them.
All right. Well, we got one more division in the AFC, which is the AFC West. I think this division is really, we don't have to talk about this division too much, in my opinion. But we'll start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. Their win totals over under 11.5. I don't know, just every single year, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce get it done. I was excited for them this year with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, some potential troubles there. It doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes is still going to get it done. I have them at 12-5. I think they're going to do well again this year. I think they have a lot of very, very easy games at the end of the season for them, right? They got basically the last half of the season for them. The Panthers, the Vegas Raiders, the Chargers, the Browns, the Texans may put up a little bit of a fight, and then you got Pittsburgh and Denver. Like, I mean, you could chalk up those last 7 games. If they don't go 6-1 in the last 7, I think they're going to be really pissed off at their season. So basically, you kind of have to go, a little bit above 500 for the first half of the season, and then you just basically throttle everybody at the end of the season. I think their schedule's a gift towards the end, personally, but I think they're going to start off with some good tests, right? The Ravens, the Bengals, 2 good tests to start, and then after that, season goes downhill.
Yeah. Kansas City's going to be that one where I think they're going to end up just walking away with this division. It'll be over pretty quick. And like you said, the second half of the season it's going to be a cakewalk for them, even though they got to play in Kansas City where, it gets a little chilly. But then again, you're playing Denver, you're playing Pittsburgh, you're playing, some cakewalk teams that they could probably play with their B team and still be competitive. Sorry to everybody that's a Denver and a Pittsburgh fan, but it is what it is. They also pay New Orleans. I don't know what's going to happen with New Orleans. So realistically, when you come back, I got them at 13 wins again. I think that they're still going to be the powerhouse that they are, and due to their just being in the AFC West, it's just going to benefit them even more. I mean, it's not like they're playing in the South or something like that where they have a couple more competitive teams. It's a one-horse race here in this division.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and Wayne put it in there. Kansas City's minus 260 to win the division. I think I wouldn't take that juicy of a bet, but I don't see anyone in this division even coming close to them. Like, not even remotely touching them. I honestly think the Chiefs go 0-2 to start the season. I think they lose to the Ravens and they lose to the Bengals. Then they're going to beat Atlanta. They're going to beat the Chargers. They're going to beat the Saints. They're going to lose to San Francisco. And I have them dropping one of their last 8 games. One.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Definitely doable. I mean, that's definitely doable. I mean, I mean, Thursday night's going to be an amazing game for sure. I mean, you look at that and you say, man, playing Baltimore, hey, bring me the rings, you know how that can always get too. You know what I mean? Get a little hyped on that. But you're so right on the back end of this. What a cakewalk schedule.
Yeah, I mean, really, after week 7, after the 49ers, I mean, again, that's what I said. After the 49ers, I give them maybe one loss in that entire stretch. Um, and I wouldn't be shocked if you see them win them all. I mean, they're just that good, and these teams that they're playing should be that bad. Obviously, we could get surprised. They could be a team here that's really, really good. But I think their second half of the schedule is incredibly weak. Just like this whole division, though, as a whole. The Raiders, their win total is over under 6.5. I have them at 6-11. I think they're going to do well. They got a solid team ish. I don't think they're going to be that good though. Gardner Minshew, we know what he is. He's a career backup. He could do decent for them. I think Devontae Adams is going to have a good year though, just because Gardner Minshew is going to keep throwing the ball to him because they're going to be in positions where they need to throw because they're going to be down. But if you look at their schedule, again, this is why I have them at 6 wins. The Panthers are going to be terrible. We already know that. I'm not too worried about that. Denver's going to be really, really bad. Pittsburgh's going to be really, really bad. Again, Ian already apologized if you're a Denver or Pittsburgh fan. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep harping on you because they're just bad teams. And, the Saints and the Chargers to end the season, and they played, Denver twice. I mean, that's how I have them at 6. If they lose one of those games, okay. But, I don't see them really winning much, much more.
Again, you got them a lot higher than I got them. I just don't see much here. Not impressed with, the skill positions that they have available. I mean, yeah, Devontae Adams is, an elite receiver. But again, like you said, you got Gardner Minshew thrown to him, and he's a Wazoo kid up here in the Northwest area. Watched him play a little bit when he was at Wazoo. But when you go back and you look at this, I mean, I see 4, maybe 5 wins on if something that was to happen. I really don't see where they're going to be able to get wins. They might even split with Denver. They might even split with the Chargers. We don't know what Harbaugh's going to do. You know what I mean? And so, Harbaugh's an amazing coach. He's proved it over time and time again. And you give him 2 times playing the same team, I figure he's going to win at least one of those, if not both of those. So, I'm looking at 4, maybe 5 wins on the good time.
No, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. All right, over those Chargers. I have the Chargers at 9-8. 8.5 is their over under. I have them a little bit above that. And the only reason I have them slightly above that is because of Harbaugh coming there. I think he is a very, very good coach, and he's going to coach them to be a good team. Obviously, they lost two huge pieces of their offense with Eckler and Keenan Allen gone, but again, their schedule and their division, I don't think their division's that tough, obviously, other than the Chiefs. So I have them at 9-8. I think they're going to play decently well. And again, give Harbaugh some time, and I think he's really going to do well. I think he starts off with 3 great weeks. He's going to ease into the NFL basically this year. I know he was here before, but he's going to ease into this season. The Raiders, the Panthers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then he's got a test against Kansas City, but you got to buy after that. And then you got 3 very, very winnable games right after that. So I think they go 9-8 this year.
I got them with 8 wins. I mean, I think outside of Bobby Aber, what do they have? You know what I mean? When you sit back and you really or Herbert or whatever. I mean, sorry, Haber, that was a guy from way back in the day. But if you look at their
I say
team,
I don't even know who that is.
yeah, you go back and look. He was a guy played in New Orleans. But go back and look at it. You got the Raiders. We already talked about Carolina struggle. Pittsburgh could be struggled. Denver's just, these are winnable games that they should win. Now the question is can they beat the likes of the Tampa Bay? Can they beat Atlanta? Can they? But you end with 3 real easy games as well. So realistically, they have to win. You're probably closer to being on the right number with 9 than I am at 8. But we don't know what Harbaugh's got underneath the hood yet. He's a smart coach. He's going to keep stuff close to the vest to start things out. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But again, the AFC West is just a struggle of a division.
Yeah, it is. And let's talk about the real struggle of this division. I think the Broncos. I mean, their win totals over under 5.5. I have them at 6-11. Um, and it's a tough. Honestly a tough sell for me to get them at 6-11. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be shocked with like a 4-13 or a 5-12 type season from them. It really comes down to can they beat the teams that they could potentially beat. I think a lot of these games that with other teams they might be a coin flip. I don't know if the Broncos will ever be favored at all this entire season. To be honest with you, they might be favored in the Carolina game. That might be it. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be favored. Really, I don't. But I think they're going to coin flip their way to a couple wins. But I have them at 6-11. Oh, no, what is it? 5-12. 5-12 is what my notes say. So
Yeah, if they get 4 wins, I'll be shocked. I mean, Bo Nix, he's probably I mean, he is an NFL ready quarterback coming out of I mean that's the reason why he transferred over to Oregon. I mean the kid can sling the ball, but who's there? You got Cortland Sutherland there. I mean, who are you throwing to?
yeah,
I mean, there's not a whole lot of playmakers for that kid to throw to. And then you're talking about Sean Payton, he better do something. I mean, they can't get rid of him. They owe him way too much money if they did. But he's really on the stick for this because he's in there cleaning house, trying to decide who they're going to get. I mean, Mark Sherleth even said that he wasn't even happy with what the Broncos got going on, which I was kind of shocked because he's always, as a Hall of Famer from there, or not, maybe not a Hall of Famer, but stud guy from there, is they go back and they look at it. But realistically, you look through this, I'd struggle to get 4 wins out of this. To be honest with you. And so, I mean, even when you look at it, you got Harbaugh in the end, you got, Carolina should be a win. The Saints, there's a win possibility. The Vegas, they might split with, but and then they got Pittsburgh, and so I mean, I think it's going to be a real struggle for them to get to 4 wins. And again, they're probably going to be looking for a playmaker, whoever the best receiver is coming out, or maybe a defensive end coming out for the 2025 draft.
yep, yep. All right, let's go over the rankings real quick. Again, this is not shocking. The Chiefs. I have Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. That's my thing. Again, I think the Chiefs are the only relevant team in this entire division. I think the other teams are irrelevant, but Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos.
Yep, that's the same way with me, Chris. I think it's the exactly same thing. I think the biggest test is going to be those first 2 weeks for Kansas City. you're playing Baltimore and then Cincinnati. All three of those teams are probably going to be in the playoffs and probably play each other and beat up on each other. Whoever's going to be the higher seeds going to have to only play one of them, which I think is going to be huge.
Yep, 100%, 100%. All right, let's shift over to the NFC. We're going to go to the NFC East first with my Eagles. I think I'm talking about the Eagles first. Let's see. All right, we're talking about the Eagles first.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to spend very, very short on this because obviously they're my team. I think they lost a lot of key pieces last year. I think they're going to not fall apart like they did last year because they did add some actual coaches who can actually coach, not like the schmucks who were on the sideline last year. So I have the Eagles at 11-6. Their win total is 10.5. I have them just over their win total. Going to start off with a tough game against the Packers in Brazil. Home game, I think that's honestly a disadvantage for us. Playing in Philadelphia is a huge advantage, I think. But calling that a home game, whatever. Excited to see that though. It's a Brazil game, but I have them at 11-6 this year.
That's right where I had him too. I think Saquon Barkley is a huge upgrade from what they had last year
Yeah.
at running back. I mean, and you're looking at probably one of the best tandem receivers, and I think Jalen Hurts going to have a huge year this year. I think he's just going to be, even better now that he's got something. Now, is it going to take away from fantasy people, the tush push and stuff like that? Well, it should. You got a guy like Barkley, they should be, eating it up with him. And, you look at the division, Washington, I mean, you got Quinn coming in there. They're kind of trying to figure out where they're going to go. But then you got Carolina, you got New York in there a couple of times. So, and I think it's pretty weird that the NFL would send them to Brazil when, the NFL security basically told guys, don't go anywhere. Stay in your room.
Yep.
I mean, how, messed up is that? Is, they're afraid of, what's going to happen there. But, you got New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Cleveland. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that, it comes down, I think this is a 2-horse race. I think it's between them and the Cowboys. I really think it's going to depend on, what happens in Dallas. I think the Eagles are going to, but big loss though with Kelsey in the middle, man. That's that's going to hurt. And so, we'll see. It's going to take some coaching to be able to fill that Hall of Fame shoes for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I think they have the best offense in terms of weapons and skill players in the entire NFL. I don't know if anybody wants to debate me on that. If you do, just go look at rankings and you can stop your debate right there. But again, we'll see if Jalen plays the way Jalen can play. Last year, he didn't look too hot, especially towards the end of the year. And again, coaching, I think the coaching is going to be huge. And I know somebody said, tell us how I really feel about the coordinator. I love Kellen Moore. I hated when he was on Dallas because he was on Dallas. I think he's a genius. So I'm happy for it. Jim, I'm sorry. But it is what it is. Let's talk about those Dallas Cowboys. Their win total is also at 10.5. I have them also going 11-6. I think, again, you said it, 2-horse race. I think they're going to be basically doing what they do just about every single year. They're going to be separated by a game or two or some kind of tiebreaker to see who wins the division. I think Dallas is going to be a good team. Again, they play the same teams the Eagles play pretty much. So it's like, some of these games are easy wins for for both teams. Doesn't matter, if they're playing to their best of their ability or not. But I think the Cowboys are going to struggle again on offense. They did last year. I think they're going to do it again this year. But I do have them still winning 11 games.
I mean, it's pretty bad when you're pulling Dalvin Cook off of the scrap heap to have him come and compete with Zeke Elliott. And that ain't Zeke from 10 years ago. That's Zeke now. So that running game is going to be struggling for sure. I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb. Dak is a second-tier quarterback. I mean, but there's a lot of dissension going on there where the money's going from. Right now, there's a few teams, and we'll talk about a couple of those a little bit later. But there's a lot of teams about show me the money. And so what kind of will that take on the backside of this is going to be interesting. But you've got some really easy wins for them, I think, as we get into the season. I firmly believe that Dallas could be 13 wins, and they could also be 9 wins. You just never know with what you're going to get from Dak. Dak seems to love to get hurt lately too, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think CD got paid. That's always the question. Now you got paid. What are you going to do with it, right? There's a few guys that just mail it in, and I'm thinking he might be one of those guys now. He's like, I'm getting paid now. Go look at my, my guaranteed money. They owe me. So it's like going to be interesting. I'm not a big Dallas fan, never have been. You got Micah Parsons, though, I think is probably the second best defensive player in the league. That guy's
He's
so
coming to the
talented.
Eagles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. I'm sure he wants to get out of Dallas, wouldn't you? So, but
He's going to join his Penn State boys.
That's it.
We're creating. It's going to be the Eagles are basically Alabama and Penn State combined.
There you
basically.
Go. Hey, yeah. Well, that's.
No, I love Micah Parsons. I think he's great. You can hear this from me. I think CD Lamb is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Takes a lot for me to say that because he's a Dallas Cowboy. But here's the problem: you got a bad coach in McCarthy,
100%.
and he doesn't control anything because Jerry controls everything. So what are they going to do? Again, I have them winning 11 games. I agree with you though. And I think the Eagles are the same way. For anyone who wants to tell me that I'm just hating on Dallas, I think either one of these teams could very easily go 9-8 or go 13-4. It's really up to them, and interested to see what happens. Really interested to see what happens.
I'd rather take. Sorry, just real quick. I'd rather take Philly's 2-minute drill over Dallas's 2-minute drill, though. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, and I'll take Philly in the playoffs.
Yeah.
My favorite, Dak in the playoffs. All right, the Giants, terrible team. Not going to spend a lot of time talking about these guys. I have them at 5-12, and I don't even know where I found 5 wins. I'll be honest with you. I really don't know where I found them. I'm looking at the schedule right now. I have no clue. They might beat Minnesota. Okay, I think they're going to split with Washington. Sure. I don't even know. The Saints, I guess, and maybe Pittsburgh. I think that's where I came from. I think those were my 5 wins that I found. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if they go 4-13. Daniel Jones is terrible. They lost their best player in Saquon. He came to the Eagles. I love Malik Neighbors. He's in a terrible spot.
Yep.
He's in a terrible spot. Daniel Jones can't throw. The line can't block. I feel bad for Neighbors. I really do.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you're, the first or second best receiver and, coming out of college and you got to go play for a crappy team. I don't know where you got 5 wins. I can't see 5 wins here. I haven't been able to. I've been trying to squeeze out how I can find a couple of wins here. It's realistic.
I must have been smoking something that day.
Yeah, because I'm looking at this, I'm like, there's no way. And so, here's a guy that got Drew Lock as a backup. He came out of Seattle and out of Denver, part of the Russell Wilson trade as a backup. There was a lot of talk potentially of him taking over the reins. But when you're paying Daniel Jones that kind of money, whoever signed him to that contract when you could have used a franchise tag against him, that was crazy. There's no way I would have done that. But now when you look at this, where are they going to get him? I got him at 3, maybe 4 wins tops, and another team looking for a good quarterback coming out of the draft next year.
Yeah, and will they actually take a quarterback?
Yeah, probably not.
Because they could have this year, but they didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there you go. That's a lock. Thanksgiving Day beatdown.
Yeah,
the Giants are really bad. They're really, really bad. The Commanders, this is gonna be an interesting team with Jaden Daniels coming in, Quinn coming in. We'll see what happens. I'm not high on them this year. For 2 reasons. One, yes, Dan Quinn is a very good coach. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. Not on this team though. He's got one person to throw to, Terry McLaurin. Not a shock. He doesn't have anyone else to throw to. Jahan Dotson's gone. Curtis Samuel's gone. Who are you throwing the ball to? I don't know who you're throwing the ball to be honest with you. Your running backs, solid, right? With Robinson Jr. and Eckler coming in. All right, fine. But I think this team's going to struggle. 6.5 is their win total. I do have them actually winning 7 games, believe it or not. I haven't gone with 7-10. I think they're going to be a sleeper of a team this year. I think they're not going to be as bad as people think they're going to be, but I think they're still going to be bad. But again, they get to play the Giants twice, so.
Yeah, well, that's always helpful when you get to play the Giants twice. They got Tennessee as well. You turn around and look at this Chicago. We don't know.
And the Panthers.
The Cardinals.
That's
So,
Pittsburgh.
yeah,
There we go. Saints.
exactly.
That's 6 wins right there.
Yeah, exactly. You might be able to split it up. Quinn's a good coach. Quinn was a defensive coordinator for the Seahawks a few years back before he, went on to Atlanta. People forget, he had Tom Brady beat in the first. They were up 28-3 in the Super Bowl
Hmm.
where they ended up choking it and losing it away. Quinn's a good coach. I was actually surprised that the Seahawks didn't draft him over McDonald, or not draft, but bring him in over McDonald. There was a lot of talk in the beginning when they got rid of Pete that they were going to bring him in. Apparently, the interview did not go well with John Schneider. John was also looking for somebody a little bit younger, somebody not in the Pete tree as well. And so when you look at this team, there is some talent here, but it's a small amount. It's a
Yeah.
rebuild team. Ron Rivera, when he was coaching them, had them all over the place. You look at, they're just begging for draft picks, to be honest, just to try to help them out. I think they're probably more like a 5-win team, Chris. 6, I'm like, I don't know. But again, you never know with Dan Quinn and what he was able to do with Atlanta a few years back. But, the last 2 years in Dallas, they, besides Micah Parsons going crazy, there wasn't a whole lot of talk about Quinn and being a defensive coordinator, which was kind of shocking. He's definitely a hands-on kind of guy. I think he'll definitely slap some Commanders around and get them going in the right direction. But I think it's a year or two away and a couple of big high draft picks.
Yep. Yeah, I think, and Wayne said it, Luke McCaffrey, Ben Sano, I think they're going to be good, but not this year. Again, Jaden Daniels, too. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be good, but not this year. I think they need some help in a lot of different places in order for him to be successful. So we'll find out. I think in a couple of years, though, the Commanders could be very, very good, break up this Eagles, Dallas kind of flip flop that keeps happening. But I think that's a couple of years off. And like you said, a couple of high draft picks off, and hitting on those draft picks as long as they don't botch those draft picks, which is a key. So NFC East, I have the Eagles edging out the Cowboys in a tiebreaker because I have them at both 11-6, and then the Commanders at 7-10, and the Giants at 5-12.
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Commanders, and the Giants as well. I think it's going to be a slugfest between the top two. The other two are just the afterthought. I see both of these, the Cowboys and the Eagles getting into the playoffs. So it should be interesting once they're in there and playing with the rest of the NFC teams.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's talk about that NFC North. Good little division here, except for the Vikings. I'll be honest with you. The Vikings, especially with JJ McCarthy going down, hope he recovers. I was excited to watch him play on that team, especially. But the Lions, I have the Lions at 11-6. Their win total is 10.5. Um, I think. I think they're going to be good this year. I think they're going to win the division. And I think they're coming off a good year last year. I think they're going to be just as good this year. Um, 11-6 though. I have them dropping obviously a couple games to some of the higher caliber talent they're going to be playing, but they do have an interesting schedule in my opinion. I think they have it's a very like tough schedule from they don't have like a break necessarily. I think they have tough game, maybe an easy game or two, and then a couple tough games, couple easy games, couple tough games. It's a very like steady season for them. But Dan Campbell is a beast. I love that dude. That dude just bleeds like enthusiasm. He's great. But yeah, I think the line's 11-6. Wouldn't be shocked to see him 12-5 either.
Yeah, I got these guys at 12 wins. I think this is a team that's definitely trending in the right direction the last couple of years. And who would ever thought we'd be saying that for so many years being in the cellar, right? I think the receiving core, Jamison Williams, that kid's got to step it up. You were a high draft pick, and it's time for you to like grow up, is what everyone's saying. I've got a buddy of mine who lives out in the Detroit area, and that's the big talk is he's got to grow up. But that running back tandem in the backfield, that double-headed giant, who knows who's going to be getting the most carries. We all know who we think's better pass catcher, but who's getting the goal line touches as well. So you go back and look at this, but talk about a team that wants to play for a coach. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the biggest thing is I think a lot of players are going to feel guilty if they don't win a game and feel they let him down because that guy, he bleeds for the Lions, and that's it in Detroit. The Pistons and the Tigers aren't very good, so everybody in that town is loving themselves some Lions. So when you sit back and you look at the teams that they got to play here, I think there's definitely I think they're a 12-win team and a contender in the NFC.
Yep, 100%, 100%. All right, the Packers, the other team playing on Friday night in Brazil, their win total is over under 10.5. I have them at 10-7. I think they were really good last year. I think they're going to be really good this year as well. I think Josh Jacobs edition, I think is really, really good. I think they're dying for like a number one receiver, though. I'll be honest with you. I think their receiving core is kind of weak, but I think overall, I think they're gonna find a way to get it done. Jordan Love is really, really good. Um, and again, they have a relatively easy schedule, and I think their end of their schedule is also really, really good for them. Um, again, Seattle kind of a toss up, but then you got New Orleans, Minnesota, and the Bears to finish it off. So I think they're going to be, I think they're going to be a good team this year. 10-7, I have them at, and I have them over their win total. Don't love it, but I have them at 10-7.
Yeah, I think they're going to win 10 games too. And I think what are we going to get for the real Jordan Love? Is it the one that started the first 6 games, last year, or is it the guy toward the back half of the season? 70% completion, 18 touchdowns, through it all. And then, of course, did what he did in the playoffs. But I think if you go back and you really look at this team, I agree with you. They don't have a number one receiver, but they got 3 decent receivers. They got a decent
Yeah.
tight end. Josh Jacobs, it's, obviously, I don't think he was handled well last year. It's going to be different if Josh Jacobs could come back and do what he did when he dominated for the Raiders. It's going to make or take. But again, we get back to that one word you and I talk about a lot of times is the defense. What's really going to happen with the Green Bay defense? Can they shut people down enough to where they're, can keep them under so they can score enough points to win? I think that's going to be the key. So it should be
Yeah.
interesting.
It'll be interesting to see, like you said, with their defense, right? I mean, they shut the Cowboys down in the playoffs last year. I mean, they locked them down,
Yep.
but then during the season, I mean, they couldn't lock down like a rookie quarterback. They couldn't lock down, some trash guys. So it's like, who's going to show up? We'll see. We'll see. Looking forward to the Packers season, though. The Bears, all right. Here's their win totals over under 8.5. I am not a Caleb Williams fan by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think he's good, personally speaking. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. But their wide receiver core is insane. Their defense is decent. They're not great, but they're decent. And DeAndre Swift is an upgrade from what they had last year, in my opinion. So I think their offense is going to be good. This is another case of I think their offense will keep them in games as opposed to their defense keeping them in games because their offense is going to score. Again, I don't think Caleb Williams is that good. I don't think he's going to play that well. But with those weapons, it's kind of hard to not play well, right? I think Caleb Williams is going to look really, really good just because of who he's throwing the ball to.
Yeah, you're not kidding. You got Keenan Allen's probably the third best receiver on that team when you look at it. You got DJ
Yeah.
Moore and Aduze from here out at University of Washington. I thought he was the second best receiver in the league, but that's a homer pick as well. But there was a case to be made for him to be the second receiver taken in the draft. So there's a lot of talent there. Swift obviously is an upgrade, and you know, as far as their defense, it's playable. You know what I mean? And so when we look at that and we say, but it's all going to come down to Caleb Williams. Let's be honest. The kid's been told since he's 14, he's the heir apparent, to everything. Now's the time to see him, put up or shut up. There were some times when at USC he looked like a JV guy playing because but I just don't think his heart was in it either. He was already shipped out. I mean, his dad's been telling him since he was 14 that he was going to be the great quarterback. Well, here you go. I mean, how awesome for them. They made the trade with Carolina, the year before to get all these draft picks that have paid out, amazingly well for Chicago to be able to give up, probably a better quarterback than what they got in Bryce Young in Carolina anyways. But seriously, you sit here and you look at the wins. Can you pick out 7 wins? I don't know if I could pick out 7 wins. I could probably pick out 5 wins, maybe 6, but I don't think much more than that. I think it's going to take some time. Anytime you start a rookie quarterback, this guy is not Dan Marino. You know what I mean? He's not John Elway. And so when you go back and you look at this kind of the teams that they're playing in the amount, yeah, Minnesota's going to struggle, but you also have to pay Detroit twice. You're going to have to play Green Bay twice. I mean, can you get a win out of those? You got to play Indianapolis. Now, sure, you might pick out a win from, I don't know, Tennessee. You're going to pick out a win against, Minnesota. Sure. But realistically, I think they're a year away from being solid enough to where they say, hey, they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're anywhere near a 9-win team, more like a 7-win team for me.
Yeah. All right. We're pretty close. I had 8. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think Caleb Williams is in a dream situation for himself, believe it or not. And I'm, again, not high on him at all. But I guess we'll find out. We'll find out. Um, this team I was excited for. Now I'm not excited for because JJ McCarthy's gone. And I think JJ McCarthy's going to be that good. But I thought it was going to be a lot of fun to watch him, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson all play together and, have some good season. I have the Vikings at 5-10, and I'm struggling to even give them 5 wins. I'll be honest with you, but they do play the Giants. I think they're going to split against the Bears. They do play the Titans, and then you give them maybe 1 or 2 more wins, and you got 5. So, not excited for this team at all. I was before, but now I'm not. So I guess we'll find out. But I think they're a 5-win team. They're over under 6.5. Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm taking the under on that at 6.5. I'll take that all day too. I just think the Vikings are going to really struggle this year. I think that Sam Darnold has not been the answer for anywhere he's gone. Is he serviceable? Yeah, he's serviceable. McCarthy, would he made a difference? I don't know. I mean, McCarthy, all he knew how to do was win. I'll give the kid credit. It really
Yeah.
sucks that he tore a meniscus and be able to be out for the whole year. I've tore a meniscus. It's not fun. And so I wish the kid, an opportunity to come back as soon as and healthy, right? It's going to give him a year to be able to sit in the rooms. It's going to get him a year to, watch tape. It's going to give him a year. I think that, a lot of these younger quarterbacks wish they would have had instead of getting thrown out to the fire and let him go at it. He might be able to learn a little bit behind it. But the Vikings, I think, are really going to struggle this year. I think if they're lucky, they'll split with Chicago. I think, but you got to play Detroit, Green Bay. I mean, back to back. I mean, San Francisco. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel sorry for Viking fans, and I feel sorry for Justin Jefferson, to be honest with you. The guy went from, having Kirk Cousins that everybody gave him crap, but the guy did nothing but, score with Cousins. What's he going to do with Darnold? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Not much. Darnold can't do anything with anybody. All right, ranking them. I got the Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings.
Yep, same thing here.
Yep, no surprises there. All right, NFC South. Interesting division this year. I think I feel like the Bucks have been kind of coasting, but I'm high on the Falcons this year. I'm high on the Falcons. We're going to talk about them first. Not very high, but I'm high enough on the Falcons to put them
For this
winning this division.
division.
Their over under is 9.5. I got them at 10-7. I think Kirk Cousins is obviously a huge upgrade from what they've had recently. But overall, this division is just brings me zero interest. I'll be honest with you. Absolutely zero interest. This entire division. Whoever wins this division's out in the first round of the playoffs anyway. But I think the Falcons are going to win this division. I got them at 10-7. Do have a tough-ish schedule. But again, they're playing the teams in their own division. So to me personally, I think they get 5 wins out of that. If they're going to sweep the Panthers, and they're going to sweep the Saints, they're going to split with the Bucks. And then they got a couple other games. Again, Denver, you got Pittsburgh. So I got them at 10-7.
Man, I look at from week 11 on, they might only lose one game there. I mean, and they're playing the Chargers at home. And you're not kidding. I think Cousins is a huge backup. And even if Cousins gets hurt, you got Penix in the background that they're saying the boy's just throwing dimes. You got a stud running back. You know, this whole
If they
team, this whole team's going to come around. Can Drake Landon do what everybody thinks he's supposed to do? I don't know. I haven't seen him come do it yet. But I think, obviously they're going to throw the ball. I think that they're going to be a more competitive team in the overall NFC. But I think this division, there's some cakewalk wins here for these guys. And I really agree with you. I think, they're 10, 11 wins, depending on how things fly out. But if you look at that last, 8 weeks of the season, you got, New Orleans, Denver, break, Chargers, Minnesota. I mean, come on. I can't. I could realistically see them run the table the last 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, I think I like, and I know Wayne just put in there, they got easy to schedule. I mean, they really do. That's why I'm high on them this year. Again, not for them to do much in the playoffs because I don't think they will. But the division, sure. The Bucks. Their win total's at 7.5. I have them at 9-8. I think they're still a good team. Baker can still fling the ball. You still got Mike Evans. You still got Godwin. Cade Otton's been a pretty good tight end as of late. Their defense is pretty solid. I think the Bucks are still a good team. And again, they play the same teams, right? You're playing against Washington. You're playing the Saints a couple times. You're playing against the New York Giants. You're playing the Panthers twice. And the end of their season, I think they have a tough stretch there in like the middle part when you got to play the Falcons, Kansas City, uh, San Fran. And then coming off the bye, though, I mean, you really got a pretty easy schedule other than the Cowboys. I look to them to really only lose one of those games, maybe two, if they're down bad after the bye week. I think coming out of that bye, they're in a good spot.
Uh, I see these guys about 9 wins. I mean, I agree with you. Baker's a guy that just keeps getting it done. And you look at the receiving core for Tampa Bay. I mean, Rashawn White as well coming out of the backfield. I mean, you got Goodwin on one side and Evans on the other. And Evans, all he does is keep putting up, 10 touchdowns and 1,000 yards every year with just his eyes closed. I mean, I think, what's going to come down to them is can they play defense? They've got to play better defense to keep them in the games a little bit more. But realistically, like you said, you look at this, again, this gauntlet of, realistically that after the bye week, they really only play one tough team in Dallas. So I
Yep.
mean, they're setting themselves up. Plus, they play down in Tampa, which is always nice during the month of December as well. The question is can they hold on through that gauntlet you talked about of Baltimore, Atlanta, Kansas City, San Francisco, and stay positive when they're coming out of that?
Yep. We'll see. We'll see what they do. All right. Another throwaway team, dumpster fire of a team. The Panthers are over under win totals of 5.5. I have them at 4-13. And the only reason I have them at 4 wins, and I really hate saying this, they played the Saints a couple times, played the Giants, played Tampa Bay, they play, some mediocre teams. Again, the Chargers, we don't know what they're going to look like. Vegas, we have no clue what they're going to look like. I think some of these games are a coin flip that they may end up pulling out. I think they're going to at least split with the Saints. The Saints are just a dumpster fire of a team as well. So, I mean, 4-13. I'm just again 4 wins is tough for me to even say, but again, it's a professional football team. I think they're going to manage to do that somehow.
Yeah, I don't see any more than 4 wins here either. And I think that's a step up from last year just to be able to do that. I think Bryce Young's going to have to make or break it here. There's so much talk about him during the offseason just being a study rat and being able to get through it. But the guy's still 5'10". Let's be honest. He's having a hard time seeing over what's in front of him. The lanes aren't there for him. I mean, obviously the offensive line is a struggle. I think for him, in order to be able to do this, you're going to have to make him more mobile, to get him out of the pocket, and make sure they get him going. I think on defense, there's opportunities to make some plays there. But again, 4 wins, and they're hoping for let's be honest, a number one receiver coming out of the draft.
Yep, 100%. Another team I have at 4 wins is the Saints. Again, same reason as the Panthers. I think they're a better team overall than the Panthers, but they're still not good. I have them, 4 wins. Again, it could easily go three, it could go five, but I have them at 4-13. This division really comes down to the Falcons and the Bucks, and I really do think the Falcons are going to do well this year. But the Saints and the Panthers really don't excite me at all.
Yeah, I mean, besides Carr and Olave, I mean, can you name me anybody else that you think is really going to stand out? I mean, I really don't know. I mean, and Carr struggled on and off. Olave was supposed to be this, the second coming to the old Michael Thomas, right? But I sit back and I look at this and I say 5 wins, maybe. They might be able to squeak out 6. But I think 5's probably more realistic by just who they have to play. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You look at there should be some easy wins, but you can't say that when you're the bottom of your division and you're fighting to keep it up with everybody else. I do think this is a 2-team race to win the division, but the Saints, they just need some more help.
Agreed. All right, ranking them. I got the Falcons, Bucks, Saints, Panthers, but the bottom two really don't matter.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the biggest key here is going to be you know, what can the Bucks put together on defense? I think that's the biggest key. And if that happens, and if they go back to playing some solid defense, I think they could give Atlanta a little bit of a scare up there.
All right, let's talk about the final division, the NFC West, Ian's favorite division. We're going to go first to the Los Angeles Rams. I have the Rams. This is actually one of my favorite bets of the season too. It was the under on the Pittsburgh. I have the over on the Rams win total. Their win total is at 8.5. I have the Rams at 12-5.
Oh my god!
That might be a hot take. DJ might be off his rocker, but I think the Rams are going to be a good team this year. I have them, especially with a healthy Cooper Cup, Kyron Williams. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be really good this year. Um, a couple tough games as well. Wouldn't be shocked if they go like 10-7, but DJ thinks 12-5.
Wow, I don't know what you got in your water jug over there, but that's something because I don't know what you're seeing, but yeah, Cooper Cup is back. Cooper's, he's come out and said, "Hey, I'm back to where I was." Okay, get you right. Kyrie Williams, was that a flash in the pan? We don't know. Stafford's getting old. I mean, and you lost Aaron Donald. So, I see them probably right around 9 wins myself. But I'll be honest with everybody. I'm a Rams hater, just being in the division. But this division's the top 3, 4. Well, even the Cardinals. The Cardinals might be in it. Well, this might be a slugfest division. This is going to be a fun division to be a part of, to be able to watch from the stands. And, I think that it's all going to come down to is how do they play defense, right? Can Ramsey play? I don't know. That's an old team getting older and older by the minute. They need to, they were ticked off at the Seahawks because they couldn't move up in the draft to get, Byron Murphy, who is, all counts are is that guy's a beast in the middle, which we'll talk about in a minute. But when you truly look at this and you say, okay, there's a lot of tough teams in this division. And I think, if, everybody beating up on each other, I don't think there's going to be anybody really running away with the division. I'm saying the Rams are going to come in at about, I'm saying 10 wins.
All right. Wayne, I'll answer your question now. Wayne asked a silly question you may have clarified at the beginning. When you made your win-loss, was it a master schedule or team vacuum? Team vacuum for me. Did not look at a master schedule. I was looking down the team roster because my whole thing is some of these teams are really uncertain on what they could potentially do. I think they could be decent, but they could be pretty bad. So team vacuum, not a master win-loss, because if you add up the numbers I'm saying, they don't add up to shit.
No way. Yeah. We're basically making bets off of what Vegas has the over under at.
Yep. All right. San Francisco. I mean, Madden has them as the best team. I think they're the best team in the NFL this year. Again, why? Well, their offense is really, really good. Their defense is really, really good as well. So I have the 49ers at 12-5, just like the Rams. I do have them edging the Rams in a tiebreaker. Wouldn't be shocked with a 13-4 or 13 or 14-3 type season from them as well, though. Think they're going to be really, really good this year again.
I think there's a lot of team dissension going on there. Everybody's worried about getting paid,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that has a lot to do with it. They're getting older and older by the minute. Here's another team that I think is past their prime. I think you got Brock Purdy getting ready to make some money. I think paying Brandon Ayuk that kind of money was crazy. I think they should have
Insane.
they should have traded him when they had the chance. I think they're going to go back and regret doing that. I think the next 2 years is going to make a difference for them. I think there's going to be a lot of people cut because they're going to have to sign Purdy here pretty shortly. And how do you not sign that kid? All he's done is be able to win. Now, San Francisco, I agree with you, Chris. Their defense, top 5. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Their offense, one of the best, right? I just don't. I see it right now and say, yeah, are they? Can they be one of the top 1, 2, 3 teams in the NFC? Yeah, But realistically, they're one player away from getting hurt too, and being able to look at it and saying, wow, CMC goes down or Debo goes down again for a long period of time, or, you know, Bosa goes down. I mean, what happens, right? Do they have the people, the horses in the back to be able to step up? Man, I don't know. So, I mean, I've got them at 11 wins. I think that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had 9 wins either. When you go back and you look at this, and I'm not saying that because I don't like San Francisco. I just think they got a lot of players getting older and a lot of players trying to get paid. Trent Williams, that's huge. You're talking about the best left tackle that says he's not going to play unless he gets paid. Where does that money come from? They're already over the
Yeah.
salary cap. I mean, that's going to be huge. And they're, what are you going to do? You're going to trade somebody away? I don't know. But, John Lynch is going to make his money this year. He's going to have to figure out what he's going to do with that team, because that team, all they want to do is get paid. And all the fans want him to do is just win, win, win. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Shall be interesting for sure. All right, Ian, I'm going to you. Your
Oh,
team. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, the over under on this was 7.5 when I bought it. I was like,
It
oh
still
my god,
is.
talk about the easiest 7.5 you can get. I'm telling you guys right now, you watch out for this offense. DK Metcalf is going to go absolutely crazy in this new offense. Nobody's talking about it because you haven't seen him play yet. And I'm telling you, K9 and Charbonnet in the backfield is a great 1-2 punch. The only question we have right now is we have 0 tight ends. Noah Fant is the only one on the tight end. And then let's go over to the defensive side. That defensive line that they've put together over the last year is pretty solid. Byron Murphy is going to be a beast. I mean, I'm not saying he's the next Aaron Donald, but I'm saying that guy is going to be amazing. I went to camp and watched him play. That guy is so talented, so fast off the ball, and able just to push guys around. And obviously I think you got Witherspoon in the backfield and Tariq Woolen, if he comes back and able to expand. That defensive back four is going to be as tough to beat as anyone in the league. Now, we were 31st last year against the run, or 28th or something like that. That's terrible. That's why they went out and got McDonald, for McDonald to come in and put it into place. Now, all you hear about is just how everybody's excited about just different ways he's putting people into different packages. Now, we lost Anuso for probably 4 to 6 weeks. We also lost Abe Lucas for 4 weeks due to a knee injury at right tackle. They did bring in Noah Fant to be able to, he started for the Jets for a little while, used to play for the Seahawks. He knows the people around the Seattle facilities. I just think there's just this uptick of excitement for the players and what they're putting in. I think there was a lot of heat in the beginning of the year when they brought McDonald in. He took down all of the, the Legion of Boom stuff and just made everybody around town mad. And don't sleep on Geno Smith, too. I'm not a Geno fan, but I know in this offense, a couple of years ago, Geno threw 69% completion rate. He is really liking this offense, and the couple of passes that he threw in the preseason, he's just throwing them, dropping them into baskets. But I think another thing is JSN. Waldron did not use him effectively last year. I think he's right away going to be the number 2 receiver, and Tyler Lockett will be in third. So that's a solid, top 3 packs. And don't sleep on K9, you guys. Man, Walker's going to be a beast. I think that guy, all he knows how to do is run hard. I'm not saying he's Marshawn Lynch, but boy, he can definitely run hard. And Zach Charbonnet can catch the back ball out of the backfield. Can the defense be, I'm not even saying a top 5. I'm not even saying a top 10. You be a top 15 defense, then we're up there. That's 7.5. Bet it all day and twice on Sunday, boys and girls, because that's going to be the one that's going to make you the most money. I actually put 100 down on the Seahawks to win the division at plus 750. Now, if that hits Degen, I'm calling you up, brother, and we're going to have one there on that one, because that's going to be an amazing pick if that comes to it. I don't know if it will. You're talking about a tough division. They're just going to beat up on each other the whole time. And Arizona, people are sleeping on Arizona. Kyler Murray, they're saying, is just throwing, and he's already best friends with Harrison. So we'll see. I think James Conner's a little low. We'll get to that in a minute. But there's 4 teams in this division that are just going to beat up on each other, and it's going to be fun to be part of it on the Sundays here in Seattle.
Certainly shall be. Going to the game with you last year was a blast. I have the Seahawks above your win total as well. I'm at 9-8. I think they're going to be decent again. My main concern is Geno Smith. I think he's serviceable. I don't think he's very good. But with an offense like that, again, it could be good, could be bad. We'll see. I have 9-8 though, for most of the reasons why you said already. So I'm not going to go over them again.
Yep.
But I think if they're going to be a good team again, this division is going to be fun. We'll get to the final team in this division, the Cardinals. They're over under 6.5. I have them at 7 wins. I think that's a generous 7 wins. I'll be honest with you. I see the stuff about Kyler and Marvin Harrison and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't really mean shit to me. I've seen the Cardinals do things. Um, Jonathan Gannon is not a good coach. I'm sorry. People say he is. He's a good defensive coordinator. He's not a good coach. So we'll see what happens. But I have him at 7-10. I think that division though is going to be really, really tough. The NFC West is going to be a good battle this year.
The question is I think, can Connor stay healthy? If not, I think it's Trey Benson. Isn't that the backup, Chris? Quote me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. But
No, Trey Benson.
watching that kid run, pretty solid. Marvin
Mhm.
Harrison. There was a lot of talk. Oh gosh, here he was. Blah blah blah. Well, let's see. It's tougher when you're in the spotlight like that and have all that attention on you. Kyler Murray's got to do something though. I think a lot of people just look at him and he's such a small little guy and he's running around left and right trying to make plays and stuff like that. I just don't see the continuity. There's a lot of talk in around the NFL that these guys could be the sleeper. I mean, I'm looking at who they have to play: Buffalo, Detroit, the Rams twice, the Hawks twice, the 49ers twice. Miami. I mean, sure, you get to play teams like Minnesota, New England, Carolina, but in reality, that's you have a lot to prove to me, Kyler Murray, to say you're in that upper echelon of being able to be an NFL quarterback.
Agreed. All right, ranking. I got the 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals.
Well, let's see here. If I be a homer. No, I'm just kidding. So I've got the 49ers, the Hawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're going to switch over to the playoff picture for the AFC. We went over division by division, so we're going to go off the playoff picture. Ian, I'm going to kick it to you for your playoff. Who do you
Yeah,
got?
yeah. I mean, I'm sitting looking at the AFC picture, and I think, honestly, it comes down to a few horses. We got Kansas City, we got Baltimore, we got Cincinnati. We've got, I think realistically the Jets are going to be in there. I think Buffalo's probably going to be in there. I think, though, it's going to come down to between Kansas City and the Bengals. I think those are going to be the two top teams, but it just depends on how everything breaks out on the seedings. I mean, this is really going to have to really come down to who gets home field advantage. I think that'll be huge, especially going into January. You get some of these, I mean, who knows? We don't even know if the Colts squeak in somehow, you know what I mean, and shock the world. We don't know. But I think it's going to come down to, I think, Cincinnati, I think Baltimore, and I think Kansas City are the three big guns that are going to come out of the AFC, excuse me.
All right, so my AFC playoff picture looks like this. I got the Chiefs at 1, the Ravens at 2, Texans at 3, the Bills at 4, and then the Bengals at 5, Jets at 6, and the Dolphins at 7. Those are my 7 teams in the playoffs. Chiefs obviously get the bye. I have the Bills playing the Bengals, which the Bengals are going to win, and I have the Texans playing the Jets. I think the Texans are going to win that one. Dolphins, Ravens win. Basically, my final 2 teams are going to be the Bengals and the Ravens. I have the Bengals beating the Chiefs. And I have the Ravens beating the Texans, and I think the Bengals are going to be the AFC representative for the Super Bowl this year.
Wow. You think that the Bengals can win in Kansas City in January? Whew, that's going to be tough, brother.
Yeah. Jen, to answer your question, no, this is not recorded, and yes, we have addressed chat. Sorry, we weren't talking
Thanks
about
for,
your 49ers for too
yeah,
long because they're
thanks for
washed.
showing up, Jen. Thanks for showing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's go to the NFC. NFC picture. This is gonna be interesting. What do you think's happening in the NFC?
I think this is going to be craziness is what I think. I think when you look back, obviously you're going to have the 49ers in there. I think realistically out of the NFC, you might see 3 teams in that you come out of that division. I think when you go back and you look at the Cowboys and Philadelphia, That's going to be a smackdown drag out. And then you're talking about Atlanta probably walking away with that division, down south. And so I think that what's going to come out of it, I think that somebody's going to get upset, and I'm hoping that it's the 49ers. In the beginning, I would like that just so my friend Justice Jen can scream and yell about that. But I really think it's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to just who's playing the best at the time. So if you look at my 7 teams, I mean, you look at them all. I think that we're going to get kind of a shock here. Green Bay's going to be in the hunt as well. I think when you look at it, though, Chris, I'm sure you're going to be happy to hear me say this, but I think it's going to be the Eagles coming out of the NFC.
Wow, you have more faith than I do.
I know.
You have
I
more
know.
faith than I do.
I
All
just
right,
think they're
here's
going to make
here's
some great additions. I really do. I think that Saquon Barkley's going to be a difference maker for them, and they have somebody that can really run the ball. I think the biggest thing is who's going to play center and can they call the plays, right?
Yep, I don't want to be a homer, so I don't have the Eagles in the
I did it
Super
for you.
Bowl. So I will start off everybody by saying that. I have the 49ers at 1, the Lions at 2, the Eagles at 3, the Falcons at 4, all winning their divisions. Then I have the Rams, Cowboys, and Packers finishing out my 7. Um, I got the Falcons and the Rams going at it in the first round. I got the Rams winning that one, and who will then see the 49ers in the second round. And then I think one of the two most epic matchups. I got two division matchups in the bottom half of the bracket. I got the Eagles Cowboys first round of the playoffs, and then Lions Packers first round of the playoffs. To which the Eagles and the Lions are going to win, and unfortunately, I have my Eagles losing to the Lions. It pains me to say it, but I have them losing the Lions. I have the 49ers playing the Lions, and I have the Lions beating the 49ers. I have a Lions Bengals Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, the more and more I sat here and was thinking about it, I was just like, the Lions are going to be tough to beat. I agree with you there, but I think it's going to be fun. But I too have Cincinnati, in the Super Bowl, but playing the Eagles, and then I'm saying that Cincinnati's going to win the Super Bowl as well.
All right, for everybody at home, Ian and I did not talk about this at all
We didn't.
pre-show. We didn't talk about this at all. Bottom of the screen,
Yeah, Bengals.
Bengals win. Ian and I are on the same wavelength, I guess. Yeah, I think the Bengals are going to be good this year. I know Wayne just put it in there that Chase Brown and Zach Moss not enough confidence. I agree. Their running back core is weak compared to a lot of other teams. However, I feel like schedule wise, they're set up pretty good. Um, Overall, I think Joe Burrow's really, really, really good, especially with Jamar Chase. Those two are
And T.
stuck
Higgins.
together. And again, if they can stay healthy, I think it's their division, honestly, to lose. Um, Again, I think the Chiefs are going to walk through the entire season, but when it comes down to crunch time, I think you're going to see the Chiefs get exploited for the reason that they don't have enough offensive power. And it's weird saying that with Mahomes and Kelsey and everybody, but here's the thing. Yes, we know they're going to throw to Kelsey. Everybody knows that's where the ball is going.
Yeah.
Someone's going to stop it eventually, and I think it's going to be the Bengals.
It's going to be interesting to see if the Bengals stay healthy. I think the Bengals are in it. I think that if there's a struggle with Burrow's getting hurt again, or and I agree with Wayne when Wayne's talking about the running backs, is like, man, that does not excite me at all. But don't forget about T. Higgins too. That guy can ball out. And
Yeah.
he's playing for money too. So it's one of those things where I think when you can get to it, it's going to be interesting to see. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't cry at all if the Lions end up winning this though, because I really like Dan Campbell, and I think the way he coaches is the way a lot of coaches should win.
Yeah, no, I love the Lions and Dan Campbell. I think they're just like the epitome of what you want to see like a hype team be about.
Mhm.
And like everybody gets around it. Like, yes, obviously these guys are making millions, they're getting paid a lot, but I feel like you don't see that like money aspect come into play with these guys as much. I feel like they just really rally around each other and really want to win. So I love me some Lions. I think they're a great team. And I think they're going to be in the Super Bowl. I don't have them winning, but I wouldn't be shocked. Um, then again, They are playing my Eagles, so I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles, obviously, because I don't care what I say in September. My Eagles are playing next. Well, I guess technically not next year, but the following year. Or no, it's next year. It's next year. Yeah, 2025. I'll be rooting for my Birds.
There you go. There you go. I think the
All
biggest
right.
key we have to look at too is that we didn't even talk about is Laporta for the Lions, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about, Amon St. Brown, Laporta, those two running backs. I mean, and Goff is no slouch, man. People, I mean, it's so funny because
No.
as we do these fantasy drafts, Chris, you and I, we look and people have him down 15, 17 on the depth chart. I'm like, what are you guys thinking? There's no way that guy's that bad. I mean, the guy can throw the ball, and so let's see what happens. But it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think we got a great NFL season, and I think we got a great lead up to the season, a great start to the season this year with just a marquee matchup with the Chiefs and the Ravens, and then you got the Eagles playing the Packers in Brazil. Again, don't know who made that decision. I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Also, side note about that decision: did you know that they can't wear green in the stadium that they're playing in Brazil? And you pick two green teams to go down there?
I had no. Was that just because that's their national color for their soccer team or something?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, the soccer team that plays there is green. I like the owner of the stadium won't let the teams wear green. And you got the Eagles and the Packers. Their two primary jerseys are green, both of them. So like I figured one would be wearing green, one would be wearing
Yellow.
white because that's what they do. The Eagles actually, it's kind of cool. They released. It's never been done before. Combo. They're wearing black pants, white top, and a black helmet. Never been done before, but it looks pretty sick. Interested to see what the Packers are going to do though, because I think the Packers' alternate jerseys are white too. So I'm not sure if it's going to be like a
Those,
bunch of white jerseys with like different color helmets. Like I don't know.
well, they have those color rush colors where they use that yellow jersey. Remember that? So
Oh
don't be
yeah, they might have to wear that.
might
I don't
see it.
know. I could look this up quickly while we're close. I don't want to drag it on though. I don't know what the Packers are going to wear. It should be interesting. We'll find out. But I think overall we got a pretty good analysis for the year. I think we'll see what happens. Right? These predictions for anybody who's listening and watching, it's September. We're going off what we think is going to happen, not how teams are playing. This could just as easily change. Bo Nix could come out and just ball. The Broncos could be good. I'm not saying that that's going to happen because they're going to be terrible. You can take that to the bank. But you never know. You never know what teams decide to show up. I think it's going to be a really good year. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, and hopefully, Ian, we'll be talking about when it comes playoff time and we do our shows again for the playoffs. Hopefully, we'll just be talking about how great our picks were.
Just long as if I got the Seahawks ones right, Chris, that's all I care about.
There you go. I know you will certainly be hitting my phone and blowing that shit up if your Seahawks do win that division.
Okay.
Wayne asked quickly what the Super Bowl picks were.
I took the Eagles over the Bengals. Or no, I took the Bengals over the Eagles. Excuse me, Chris.
Bengals over the Eagles, and I have the Bengals over the Lions. So those are the two picks. I guess we're both high on the Bengals. Looking forward to it. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, here's the thing. I have the Lions beating the Eagles, so if the Eagles would win that game, I guess logically the Eagles would be in the Super Bowl too. So we'll find out. But I'm looking forward to it. Ian, thank you for coming on and always doing this with me, and appreciate everybody in chat asking questions. And yes, Jen, this is live. I can promise you of that. All right, everybody. If you are betting on any football, again, please bet smart, bet safely. Please do not bet more than you can afford to lose. Looking forward to a great NFL season. You guys have any questions or anything, put them in comments or chat or whatever. And we'll see. CGTV Fantasy Football. We'll see. Can Degen do it again? Can Ian win the Pick'em League again? We'll find out. We'll see you guys soon.
Take
Peace.
care, everybody.